today I want to talk about Coriolis, the Great Dark. I have been waiting for this book for a long time. Since they announced it on Kickstarter, I was looking forward to have it on my hands as I have now. Actually, I received this a few weeks ago, but I only found time to read everything, and now time to make this video to present to you guys and share my humble opinion about this system. Just I think I should mention that I have played Coriolis, the third Horizon, but not too much. I didn't play it solo, I just played it in a group, a few sessions and not too much. I read the book. I like it, but not too much. Yeah, the setting is different, and everything in the third Horizon, it's really well done, but I felt it wasn't for me. Yeah, I like it, but I didn't buy it. For instance, I didn't buy it, but for this one, actually, I decided to buy it because it is what I was looking for. I like to explore things. I like to generate things on the fly, and this is exactly it. I know that some people are not too happy with all changes that they have made in the setting itself. The Great Dark, it's not exactly the same. It's the same setting, but 200 years after. So a lot of things changed. All the, I would say, the Arabian Night stuff was kind of reduced. Even the Coriolis, the name of these, the Coriolites now, they are just small portion of what it was in the third Horizon. And yeah, but for me, it is good. I think I'm going to play it even with my group. I'm preparing myself to play it solo first to make sure that I'm doing everything right, and then I have plans to GM this system to my group. So, but let's just have a look. The Lost Horizon, I read it, but I must confess I do not have good memory. Or actually, I used to have, but now I'm 44 years old, and for some reason I can't remember everything. So I need to read and read and read again and again and again to fix the topics and in my mind. But I will try to do my best on remembering things on the fly. Let's see how it goes. So this is the map of the Lost Horizon, and I will not tell all the stuff, what is the setting and so on. This is not actually my goal here. I just want to mention what I like about this book, what I think it's a great addition, mainly for solo players, because usually I focus more on the solo perspective. But I think they did great also with the rules here. I already read the rules. I was doing that video trying to change the Year Zero Mini to be suitable for Forbidden Lands, for instance. And in this book, they did almost what they did for the electric state, but yeah, but they increased it a little bit more. It's not so simple as I thought it would be, but in a way it's not so complicated. So there is an introduction as usual. They talk about the set, the what is RPG, the tools that we need, and then a very brief introduction to the scenario. And I think this can be read by the players because it talks about the Lost Horizon, how they get here, and just brief explanation of the factions that we can find here. Basically, the group of players, they are part of the Explorer Guilds. What is it? Everyone here, yeah, here, the Explorers Guild. So we play as explorers. So the humanity is in like these space or galaxy, or I do not know how to call it, but they call it Lost Horizon, and they cannot leave it because the portals that they use to um, move to one place to another, they are not working in this area for some reason. So there is a mystery here also. And yeah, so there is these creatures called birds that they are basically some kind of robots, but no one knows exactly from where they came from. There is this mystery about the ancient civilization that used to live in this galaxy, in the Lost Horizon. So there are so many things here. It's so rich, and playing as an explorer, I think it's the perfect role that a player could have for these scenarios. So in order to create your explorer, you choose, as usual, you choose, or you can roll your origin, and then you have the profession, then you need to roll or choose your specialty, then you distribute 24 points, you calculate health, hope, and heart. So there are three pools here. The health is basically your hit points, your life points, or whatever you would like to call. It's called health. The hope, if I'm not wrong, is the one that you spend to push your dice rolls, and the heart is the one that is reduced by the blight. So there is the mystery in the galaxy, this ancient civilization that used to live here, these bird creatures. There are so many structures that they have found along the years, but there is also the blight. So I would say it's kind of similar to the rot on Mutant Year Zero. What is different here, the attributes, we have 24 points to distribute, and we have now 6 attributes. And I think they did this because there are no skills. Kind of, yeah, because the talents now, they mix it, the talents with the skills. There are some talents that has levels. There are some talents that have levels from 1 to 3, and all the talents that do not have any kind of level, just have the talent itself. So I can see that these talents that have levels, they are kind of a skill, but they just increase the amount of dice that you roll for depending on the attribute that you're using. So the attributes are strength, agility, logic, perception, insight, and empathy. I like it, although I should say that I prefer 4 attributes rather than 6 attributes. The group of explorers is called a crew. So you and your other players, they form this crew, and the crew has its own character sheet. It's very similar to what we have in the third horizon. The crew has some kind of maneuvers that they can perform, and it's also important that in your crew, every character has their role really well defined, because they can have these special maneuvers depending on the role that they have in the crew. As far as the archetypes are concerned, we have artist, we have enforcer, and every archetype has also specialties here. So not every enforcer is the same. Depending on the specialty, you can have some kind of free talent, as you see here. The Zapti constable, I do not know how to say this, is the interrogator. If you the guild militia, you have the free talent to look out, and so on. So very different from each other. You have the Coriolis guard, bounty hunter. So in every one of these 6 options here are one type of enforcer. And we have the esoteric, also 6 specialties for every one of them. Odd jobber, rogueneck, scholar, scoundrel, traveler, and that's it. Great. So the core mechanics are basically the same. There's not so much difference. But as you can see here, we only have 2 types of dice. So these are the attribute dice, and these are the gear dice. So gear in this game is really important because your dice pool, as you do not have any kind of skills, you do have talents, but mainly only attributes you are using for every single roll. So if you have 24 points and 6 attributes, you can see that you can have around 4 dice in each, but sometimes you might want to increase another attributes and so on. So it might be the case that you roll 3 dice or even 2 dice sometimes, and the only way that you can increase this amount of dice is using gear. And gear add actually not only 3 dice. Unfortunately, in the dice set they only included 3 gear dice, but actually I can see that we have gear that increase it in 4 dice instead of 3. So I'm not sure, maybe 5. I don't remember really well now, but we have several pieces of equipment that can be very useful depending on the action that you are trying to perform. So the gear dice is really important in this game. And then we have the talents. And even in the description here, they say talents are special skills, traits, and abilities. So they just bundle everything into talents now. So special skills are here, traits are here, and abilities also. So as you can see here, for instance, combat talents, social talents, and so on, we have some talents that have a level from 1 to 3. And every level usually adds 1 dice to your pool. So if you have Blade Fighter, for instance, you get +1 die per talent level to close combat rolls when fighting with blade weapons, aka swords, knives, and so on. So if you have 4 dice for your strength, for instance, and you want to fight in close combat, and then you have this blade fighter maybe in level 2, so you have 2 more dice, and I don't remember, but maybe the sword gives you 2 more dice, and you just roll it, and you need to find the 6s, and these are your success. Then we have the crew maneuvers that I already said, so there are a lot of maneuvers here, and the group should decide when they create their crew. We have the roles here. In the crew, we should have a delver, a scout, a burrower, a guard, an archaeologist, and then for each one of these roles, they can pick one of these maneuvers. If I'm not wrong, I might be wrong. I hope I'm not. Then we go to combat, and I said a lot of times here that I like the combat in the Walking Dead RPG. Unfortunately, here they came back to previous mode, so we have initiative, we have rounds. I don't like it too much anymore, but I understand. So what we have here, basically we have two actions. We can move and we can act, and that's it. And then you have your turn, and every round you get a card, similar to Forbidden Lands, for instance. And when you act, you just spend your action. But similar to Dragonbane, you can spend your action if you have not acted yet to dodge an attack, to defend yourself. So there are some free actions also here listed, but basically you have free actions. We have move, you have an action, and this action can be spent to dodge or block attacks. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is a game that we are going to face so many challenges that should have combat. I do not know. I really don't know. I know that there are some weird creatures. There are other factions, so there are other people that might have interesting on things that you get during your exploration. So of course the combat might happen, but I'm not sure if it is the game is focused on combat itself. I don't think so, but I need to play to see how it happens. So It uses zones and movement, so very similar to several games from Free League. But what I like most here is that I think it's the first time that they do something like this in the book itself. I know that people create these kind of charts for third-party GM screens and so on, but here they put the charts in the book, so it's really easy now to understand how the close combat flows, and the same for the ranged attack. And they did this not only for this, but for all the procedures that we have in the book. We also find charts like this, and I think this is really useful. And we don't need to count shots here in this game. There is a attribute, not attribute, but there is an item in in the character sheet called supply, and every time that you shoot or in the end of the combat, you need to reload, meaning that you spend a supply point. I like it. It makes it simple. Of course, for those that like to count the ammunition and so on, they can just include this in the game, but I like the simplicity of having just this supply to cover not only this, but a lot of other stuff. The critical injuries, they happen when your health goes to 0, then you are broken, and then you need to roll critical injuries that can give to your character some kind of conditions. So the conditions would be similar to Dragonbane, although we do not roll with any kind of disadvantage. What happens is you lose 2 dice on your rolls. It's simple. I'm not sure if it's going to fit really well. Sometimes I like these tables, I like to roll them, but in my experience, at least in Forbidden Lands, it happened a lot. Even in Mutant Year Zero, when we roll in this table, sometimes the effect does not correspond to the damage itself. Then we have hope, so you use hope to re-roll your dice, but you can also suffer some kind of damage in your hope, so you might lose hope for other stuff also. And if your hope goes to 0, you are broken by despair, basically this. And you also suffer a mental trauma. So there is this table here. It's basically the critical injury for the health. For the physical part, we have the mental trauma here. And for the heart, as I said, the heart is affected by the blight. And if you get your heart at 0, it means that you are broken by the blight, and then you need to roll in this blight manifestation here. So you like a little bit corrupted, so things might happen with you, and you can even die somehow. It ceases to exist. So you just vanish. Just to make it clear, because maybe I was not clear enough, when I'm saying you lose hope when you push, it's not like you spend 1 point of hope to re-roll your dice. It's not like that. So it's basically you roll your dice pool, and in this case I have 2 successes. If I decide to roll, to push my roll, and I roll this and I get a 1, for instance, every 1 that I roll affects my hope. So if I roll, in this case, something like this, I would have 2 points of damage to my hope. So this is how it happens. And of course, similar to the Mutant Year Zero and Forbidden Lands, the gear dice, if I roll 1 here, it affects my my gear itself. So if my sword has 2 dice bonus, and I roll and I push and I roll a 1, in the next time that I will use my sword, it's going to have just 1 die, and if it goes to 0, it is broken. And of course there are other dangers here, so there are some rules for fire, explosions, vacuum, falling, 0 gravity, radiation, drowning, cold and heat, sleep deprivation, poison, and disease. And of course it's a sci-fi game, so there is spaceship and vehicle combat. There are a lot of things here regarding vehicle. And there are these birds, and the crew should have a bird that guides them or protect them from the blight. Without the birds, probably they will perish in the space. And these birds are also called Garuda or Gahuda. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. And they are very important. So there are some types. Actually, I think there are 3 types. Yes, ward, guide, and inspector. And the group should choose which type of bird they would like to have as their companion, I think. And they have different stats. They only have health, energy, and a special power, but they can have even more powers. They have the basic power, so it's kind of magic in this game comes from the bird that guides them. Then we have the equipment and vehicles, so a lot of information here that I don't need to go deep, but I like that they have added these drawings for each kind of weapon. Although we have so many types here, or actually drawings here, there are only, I think, 3 types. Where is it? Yeah, it's here. There are only 3 types of ranged weapons, so these are the 3 types, but of course there are a variety of weapons in these 3 types. And there is this crit damage here. So the crit, I wasn't sure how it works, but then I realized in the end, if you cause this amount of damage, it means that you have a critical. And when it happens, you need to roll in the critical injury. So you roll the damage for the longsword, for instance, and after the reduction of the armor that the adversary is using, if the total point of damage that you caused by using the longsword is 4, automatically the adversary should roll in this table here. So this is something that I like it. Yeah, and every weapon has its own different value, its own value for the critic. I need to test it. As I said, I didn't play it yet, but I like it because it's not only when your health goes to 0, it might happen even if you still have health, but you suffer critical damage, so it makes sense to have like roll here. And this is also really good to see in this book, the ground vehicles. The crew should choose 1, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken. You can have 1 rover, and you need to pick from these types here. And every one of them has, of course, their own characteristics. One has more hull and armor. The other one has more blight protection. The other one has more speed. So yeah, really cool. And I like the drawing, and I like that we can see the size in comparison with a human. And I think this is really cool. It's a nice addition to the game also. And then we go to several pages explaining the Lost Horizon. How people got here, what happened, so the whole timeline. So a lot of explanation about the builders, this ancient civilization that used to live here, about the blight, so many stuff. And also guilds and factions, so an explanation about all of them. The people in this in the Lost Horizon, they are basically living in an asteroid, in a huge asteroid, and they built this city that it was supposed to be a temporary place for them, but now years ago they are basically established in this huge rock, and they call it a ship city, and they live there, and the factions are there, everything is there. They build a lot of stuff. There is a map here, and yeah, this is the map. And I like because it's written, if I'm not wrong here, that the map, of course, it's basically the official map that they distribute in the ship city. But people say that it's too colorful, that actually it does not reflect the reality. And I like this feeling that the map cannot be reliable 100% because it's too colorful, or because there are some stuff that are missing here. I like it. And this is where Ship City is. But this is the Lost Horizon. So there are so much to be explored. Of course, people from the ship city, they were able already to visit and actually even to map a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's just the beginning. And here we will have the explanation about the whole about the Lost Horizon itself, not only Ship City, not only the factions, not only the guild, but everything. But the explanations, they are very small also. Of course, they just give us a brief explanation. We might have more stuff in the first adventure box that it's not ready yet. And of course, they are going to publish several other adventures for each one of these areas in the Lost Horizon. Then we have rules for space travel and expedition. They are not too difficult actually. There is this, how is it called? I just forgot. The slipstream, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, slipstream. And the great ships, they travel through the slipstream. So you basically need to roll when you enter in the slipstream and then we leave the slipstream, but also depending the amount of time that you spend in the slipstream, you might have some slipstream hazards, and then you need to roll in these tables here. And it just gives you some sparks to have some kind of problems. It could be crew problems, it could be some kind of collision, it can be hull stress, turbulence, and so on. So many things that might happen, and this can bring some flavors, because I think the focus here is not travel in the end. It's not the journey. The focus is to explore the goal. The goal is to explore some place, not to travel. So I don't think differently from Forbidden Lands, for instance, that you have the journey and the journey is the adventure. I don't think this is the goal here, because it's the space. So there is this void, this empty space, and then you're just moving from one place to another. So there are, as we saw, some combat in space and so on, but the procedure to travel, it's really simple, and we have some flavor stuff that could happen here. And we have the shuttles. They are not the great ship. The great ship to travel big distance, and the small distances to go to planets and so on. We use the shuttles, and the crew, the players, they have shuttles. They do not have great ships, only shuttles, and they need to pick one of these three also as an option. And then you have land exploration. So we have here tracking mishaps. Once again, it's simple. It's really simple. As I said, there is supply, but it does not require too much effort here. The effort goes to the delving part, because once you reach your destination, then the delving starts. So it's like more dungeon crawler rather than hex crawler. This is the difference. This game is more a dungeon crawler in space. Yeah. So the crew, explorers, they need to go to a place and they need to explore that place. These places usually are ruins or old constructions from the builders, this ancient civilization. And here is where the game shines, I would say, because everyone in the crew should have a role. Then, as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the archaeologist is an optional role. And then every single role has needs to perform some kind of action here. And the group roles, and on top of these roles, you can see what happens. So I like it. There is the delve procedure here. There are some tables that you can use to generate these on the fly. Of course, there will be some adventures with all places that should be explored already defined. But as a solo player, I like to generate on the fly, and there are some tables, not here, but afterwards we will see them. But this is the delve procedure. Then we have delve hazards, and there are short. So this simplifies a lot. We just look at the chart and see what we should do. There is an example here. So the crew was here and they go down, 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 down. As I said, creatures and adversaries, I don't think it is a game focused in combat, but combat of course might happen. And we have basically the same approach. Creatures, they have special attacks called signature attacks, but we also have the attributes and the behavior. So instead of just decide that every creature should be hostile and they will attack, you can just roll in the behavior depending on the creature. The table have different, the values are the same, but the action, the behavior is different from each one to another. So this one, for instance, if you roll a 6, they are launching a stealthy attack, and different from this one here that says lashing out. And there is this table with some adversaries, a template that you can use if you are going to face some humanoids or humans in the end. So you have a miner here, we have a cultist here, an assassin here. So great. Then how to run the game. So several tips to the GM and brief and deep explanations on a lot of secrets actually that I hope I'm not going to reveal them here. How to create a delve, then the tables that I love so much. So we can roll in these tables to create randomly a delve. Then, spoiler alert, we have the secrets of the builders here, shards and artifacts. We have the artifact generator, and then this is an adventure. Hopefully I'm going to run this adventure to my group. I will not spoil it. Let me just go through it very quickly, because now we go to the appendix, and the appendix has the solo rules for Coriolis the Great Dark. So you are an outcast, and this tells me everything. So we are going to play with one single character, and there is this place called Red Garden where the blight is too strong. There is some specific rules to create this outcast. This outcast is someone that has already some experience on being an explorer, and it was also affected by the blight already. So this is the reason that you are an outcast. And there are some specific rules, and as you are playing with one character, you can have more than one crew maneuver. You are a crew of one guy in the end, and they write rules for these. Then some tips on how to survive delves alone. They change a little bit the stuff. Of course, you have a bird with you, so there is also this companion supporting you, and I like it because you don't need to. For instance, when I was playing Forbidden Lands solo, I thought, okay, I need a companion, and then I need to have an animal, I need to create another character or whatever. In this case, we have the bird, and the bird is our companion by default and fits well with the setting, and I like it also. So how to prepare for a delve, then we have more tables. The only thing that I see here, it's, as I said, the game is focused more on the delving stuff. Yeah, so many things that we have here is for delving. So we have tables that we can use to spark other ideas. For instance, facet spark, character sparks. So we might have some kind of conversation with other people. We could create some kind of political situations where the character needs to do something, but the major part is exploring stuff. So for those that do not like it too much, maybe you will play this game a few times and then you're done. But if you like it, you are probably going to play it a lot. So this is Coriolis the Great Dark, and this is my unprofessional review of this game, and I hope you like it. and I will try to play it, not so many sessions, but as soon as I'm ready, I will try to record at least 1, 2, or maybe even 3 sessions playing this game, just to see this game in action. And that's it. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.